So according to you, Miss Woodson, this video just magically appeared on your timeline this morning. Do I have that right?
Why would I do this?
There must be some reason this girl burned that picture of you.
Look, Laura, we know that you're a great student, but multiple students reported you harassing Marina. No. She was the one harassing me. She was obsessed with me. Laura, no one's saying it's your fault that Marina took her life.
We're looking into everything. But in the meantime, Laura, if you can't delete that video, you're gonna have to delete your profile.
Welcome to Kermode Uncut. There's a new horror film opening in UK cinemas this week. I'm sure you've seen the advert. It's called Friend Request. That's a title that you may have heard before because there's a 2013 thriller called Friend Request about a psycho stalking people and picking his victim through social media. There's also a TV rom-com, which I think is actually also called Chance at Romance, from the same year, which was released as Friend Request. But the film with which Friend Request is not to be confused is Unfriended, the horror movie from last year, which I liked very much, a social media horror movie, which I thought really tapped into that modern anxiety about online addiction. In the case of Friend Request, the story is fairly similar. We begin with a suicide which has happened on, in, and around social media, and the rest of the film sees all the people peripherally connected with the character at the centre being stalked, essentially, through social media. And there are many lines which echo lines from Unfriended, things about, they call it cyberbullying because it only works if you're online, and instructions to, stop looking at that girl's profile. And it all taps into that central fear that somehow you should turn off the computer, you should put away your phone, but you can't. And that's the thing that makes it dangerous. And whilst I was watching this, I started to think, firstly, well, this is kind of the beginning of a trend, isn't it? The social media stalking movie. But I also started to wonder whether the social media movie is in fact very quickly going to become the found footage film of our day. I mean, think about Blair Witch Project. Found footage movie, absolutely terrific, really, really exciting idea, but very quickly, loads and loads of found footage movies followed in its wake, and very quickly, the sheen was off them. They started to be tedious, they started to be boring, started to heave a sigh every time you saw another found footage movie. Now, in the case of Friend Request, I like it. I think it's an interesting movie, but it is derivative of Unfriended, which itself had precedent in movies like Open Windows, a thriller by Nacho Vigalondo, in which everything takes place on a computer screen, so stylistically that's a precursor, and also a film like Chat Room, Hideo Nakata's adaptation of Enda Walsh's stage play, which was very creaky but had the same idea that the internet is a dangerous, stalkery place. It also made me think there are precedents before that. I mean, Ringu, for example. Ringu has that same idea, the cursed videotape that you have to watch, and that in itself taps into old myths about chain letters. Don't know whether you're old enough to remember those, but the idea was if you got sent a chain letter, you had to send it on to 10 other people, and if you didn't, something terrible would happen. And there is a line between chain letters and Ringu and Unfriended. But in the case of whether or not this is very quickly going to run its course, I was thinking about the Blair Witch Project, which itself had its precedents. Cannibal Holocaust was a found footage movie years before that. And the moment of the found footage movie came very quickly and then passed equally quickly. I rather like Friend Request. It's not great and it's not as good as Unfriended, and I'll be reviewing it in full on the Radio 5 live show I do with Simon Mayo. But it demonstrates two things. As is always the case, there is nothing new in cinema, but things can get old quite quickly.